We've got Upper giving a talk on automating threat hunting on the dark web and other nitty things. I'm looking forward to this one primarily because I think there's this mystery and fantasy about the dark web and what it is, and maybe a little misconfusion on what it's not and how we use it as InfoSec researchers. So I'll turn it over and let you talk through it and find the value and how you're utilizing the data.
Okay, thanks, Justin. So I will be talking about automating threat hunting on the dark web and the things that surrounds it. A little about me. My name is Apur Singh Gautam. I'm a security researcher. I started into threat intel or hunting 2 years back. Currently, I'm doing my master's in cybersecurity from Georgia Tech. This summer, I was a research intern at UC Berkeley doing research in threat intelligence on the dark website. Some of my hobbies include gaming, streaming, hiking. I recently started into lockpicking and I've been liking so far. I do love contributing to the security community, and most of the time goes into Cybrary because I am a senior TA at Cybrary, so I have to give more time towards it. But I do contribute to other communities as well. So today we will talk about what dark web is, how you can access dark web, then why you should hunt on the dark web, why is it so important, what can you gain and what can you lose if you don't research on the dark web, what are the different tools and methods that you can use to hunt on the dark web, how you can automate that part, and a little about operational security and what's that. So let's start with the introduction. So basically, I'm sure you must have seen this image a lot of time on the internet. So basically, there are three parts to the web. That's surface web, deep web, and the dark web. So surface web, these are all the sites that are indexed by search engines like Google, Bing, Yahoo, etc. These are all the common sites that you can directly search on Google or on any search engines. Deep web, these are the sites that are not directly indexed. These can include any websites that are behind some kind of login system, like your college database or your server that you are hosting somewhere. And coming to the dark web that we will talk today specifically. So dark web is a part of the web that you need some kind of special software to access. These include the sites that are on the dark web are forums or marketplaces where people sell or trade different kinds of things. So we'll talk more about it into. Moving on, so there are different organizations that offer their dark web systems. The famous ones are Tor, I2P, ZeroNet, Freenet, and there are more. We will specifically talk about Tor because that's the most commonly used dark web system. So basically how Tor works is it gives you anonymization. I would not say it gives you full anonymization because there are some attacks on Tor also, but so the basic concept is it routes your traffic through several nodes or relays, and that's why it is hard to determine who is accessing what, and it gives some anonymization there. The Tor, or the full form of Tor, is the onion router. So the onion analogy here is the packet. There are several packets formed together and then sent across the network. So that's why the onion router or the onion analogy comes. And as you can see in the image, the URL looks something like alphanumeric and then .onion or .I2P. And the alphanumeric length, which is in case of Tor, it's 16 character or 56 character, which is determined by the cryptographic algorithm behind it. So there are many websites on Tor. There are different types of websites on Tor that usually researchers focus on. So based on their organization's threat model, they can focus on either general forums or general markets, or suppose you are a bank, so you will focus mostly on credit card forums or dumb shops, and so on. So it depends on the organization what they want to focus on. So these are different types of sites that are on Tor. These are again the site examples. So these are some of the sites that I took from the wiki pages of Onion, and there are a lot more. And these are some of the product listings that people post on different forums selling different kind of things. So coming to the part why you should hunt on the dark web, like why you should care about it. So as I told you about, there are different forums, marketplaces, dumb shops on the dark web. These are the places where actors, they sell attacks, sell their exploits, talk about different attacks, talk about new talk about new TTPs, that tactics, techniques, and procedures. And basically they talk amongst each other, either about attacking a new company or new organization, or about any new exploit, or either 0 day or 1 day, anything. So if you are researching correctly, if you are spending that much amount of time, then you can identify new attacks, you can identify new TTPs, you can even identify actors that are talking about those attacks. And this was the first thing. So the second thing is you can save time, or you can save some impacts, or you can reduce impacts on your organization. So suppose your organization is breached and your data is being sold on the dark web. So if you research correctly, then you can know a lot before time that your data is being sold on the dark web, because dark web is the first place where actors sell data if any data is breached, and then it comes on to the clear web and so on. And some of the, you can also reduce some of the indirect impacts that come from it. For example, the major one is reputation. You can decrease that impact, and the legal penalties that comes with it. These are some of the examples that I will show you why you should research on the dark web, or why you should care about it. So these are the examples of the recent 3 to 4 months. So this is an example of an attacker selling RCE of an Australian bank. Again, the second one is some actor talking about some vulnerability in some hospital in US. And the last one here is from a Russian forum, where an actor is selling a RDP credential to a US hospital. So if you do research correctly, then you can get these posts beforehand. You can know about these posts, and you can you can go to the organization and look for any vulnerabilities that may have, or that may that should be patched before any attacker target you. So coming to the methods part, like what you should, how you can get data from the dark web. So I will discuss 2 parts. One is tool based and another is human element. So coming to the tool part, there are many tools to get data from the dark web, but I will talk about these tools specifically because at the end of the time, you want to automate your data, like gathering data. You don't want to spend time on that. So starting with Scrapy. So Scrapy is basically a Python web crawling framework that has multi-threading capability. That's why it is important to use Scrapy. Second is Tor. Obviously, if you want to access Tor, you need Tor tool installed. Another great tool is Onion Scan, which you can use to either see if an onion website is up or not, or a relationship between different onion websites. Coming to privacy, so you should always access Tor, or you should always access dark web on some proxy or VPN, because either your ISP might have blocked Tor nodes, or just an extra added layer of protection. So you use some kind of SOX proxy or VPN. So there are different tools like TSOX, Polypo, Privoxy, etc. I've been using Privoxy. So you can use any tool to route your traffic of Tor through SOX proxy. Then Elastic, obviously you need some kind of database. The suggested one is Elasticsearch because it has Kibana support and it has search capability that's really easy. Like it's really easy to search in Kibana rather than using any other database. And Redis here. So Redis is basically a in-memory database that's used for cache purpose. So we will talk about why using Redis is important here to automate thing. Now coming going more into Scrapy. So let me walk you through this, how Scrapy works. So basically starting from Spider, you give your .onion URL to Spider. It gives it to the engine. Engine is the program that manages every other program in Scrapy. So engine gives it to the scheduler. Now I talked about multi-threading capability. So scheduler is the part which manages this multi-threading. So it gives each URL to different threads, and you can set this thread accordingly, either from 8 to 32, I think. Then scheduler gives it to the middleware. Now middleware is a program where you have your proxy program or login program. So by proxy program, I mean, this is the part where you will specify the Tor IPs or the Privoxy IPs so that your route request goes through that. And by login program, I mean is there are like majority of the sites on the dark web, they need some kind of login access. You need to create some kind of account. So you need those login credentials to access those websites. And also majority of the website, they have CAPTCHA. So you need some code to bypass it. So either you can use your OCR Python code, or you can take help of external services like death by CAPTCHA, anti-CAPTCHA, etc. And then you write those codes into middleware. Now after that it goes to downloader. So downloader, basically it gets the HTML page, it sends back to the spider. Now you don't need the whole HTML page. Like you need to get some elements from the HTML page that is like that you want. So you get that HTML elements into items. So getting that HTML element we call items in Scrapy. Now you have those elements or data into that items, and then you send it to the item pipeline. In item pipeline, it's basically either you create either you have a database there, or you just dump it into JSON or any other file format. So this is basically how Scrapy works. Now moving on, the human element part that I was talking about. So human intelligence, it's basically a form of intelligence where you use interpersonal contact rather than any tool-based or technical process. So by interpersonal contact, I mean you go and talk to the actor, you involve yourself into that community or into that forum and engage with actors. This is done just because just to give you more insights into why actors attack, or why what actors are talking about, which new attack they are talking about, what new TTPs they are using. So if you have that kind of relationship with the actor, you can get all these information. You can think of this as a high-tech equivalent of an FBI agent going undercover to infiltrate some kind of criminal organization. And this is why this is a hard task. Not everyone can do this. Like it takes a lot of process in mind. It takes a lot. You have to think about it. That's why it can be very risky, and obviously it is time consuming. So this, if done correctly, this can help your tool-based threat hunting, and you can identify new attack TTPs, or you can also do post-attack investigation. So suppose your organization is breached and someone is selling data on the dark web. So you can, if you have that kind of relationship, you can go and talk to the actor and see if the data is fake or if the data is real. Moving on, so how you can automate this threat hunting on the dark web. This is just one example of how you can use all the tools to automate the threat hunting. There are different ways you can utilize this. So starting from, obviously you need some links, forum links before going to the forums. So you need some links and you need some SOX proxies. So you can obviously, you can easily write scripts to get those links and SOX proxies from different places. Coming to the Scrapy setup. So Scrapy setup includes all the things that you use to basically start your Scrapy. So this includes writing a login program. Also, again, this Scrapy, you do it for every forum. So because every forum has different HTML architecture, so you need to set up Scrapy for each forum. So you get the data, you get the login code, you get the CAPTCHA bypass code, you put into Scrapy, and then you basically start Scrapy. The crawler, parser, analyzer, these are all parts of the Scrapy. So basically what I told you before, crawler gets the data HTML page, parser parses the HTML page, and analyzer is where you get the HTML, you get the data and you analyze it, and based on your threat model or based on your organization's requirements, you get that data. Because Scrapy, it's like a multi-threading thing, so it gets a lot of data real quick. So you need some kind of, like, you don't need all the data. So suppose if you are a bank, you don't care about drug related data, you don't care about any other tool based data, you care about dumb shops, so you get those type of data. And here in this example, I'm dumping it into JSON and then using some kind of analytical processing, in this case NLP processing, to get the data that I want or my company wants. So you basically, again, you don't want all the data, so you use some kind of analytical process, either NLP or ML, to first get some data, train it, and then use that model to get the data that you want. And then you put that data into Elasticsearch. Now the use of Redis here is so Scrapy, again, it's multi-threading, so it gets a lot of data real quick. So there may be duplicate data that you might get, although Scrapy has duplicate filter, but that's not reliable all the time. So you have some kind of cache data, a cache database that you can use to get the data that you want. So you use some kind of unique identifier to put it into cache, into Redis, and then you use that to get the data sequentially. So this is just one example of how you can automate this whole thing. There are several examples you can use. You can directly put into Elasticsearch, then take out and do NLP processing, and so on. Like you can think of it using different things. Now coming to the operation security part. So basically operation security, these are the steps that you take to hide yourself online, or basically disassociate your online self from your real self, so that you don't disclose any information while doing dark web monitoring or while doing human intelligence stuff. So you don't basically disclose your information to the actor, or you don't disclose your operation to the actor. Basically you do these steps so that the actor doesn't think that you are a researcher and not a real actor. And this includes all the information, like any information that can correlate back to you. So starting from your name, email, etc. And basically at the end of the day, we are all humans. So we like to be seen knowledgeable in front of others in any case. So that leads to oversharing, bragging, etc. And that is why OpSec is hard. It's not an easy task to do this on a daily basis. So I will discuss few steps that you can follow, or you keep in mind to follow OpSec or maintain OpSec in your daily lifestyle. So starting with the system that you are using to monitor dark web or do dark web hunting, you should never store any private information on that or any personal information on that can correlate back to you or your organization. Again, as I told you before, you should use SOCs, preferably VPN, to access Tor, just for that added layer of protection. As I told you before, it's a high tech equivalent of an FBI agent going undercover. So he has some kind of persona and a backstory. So you should have persona and a backstory for every forum that you are accessing or that you are monitoring. The last thing that you want is to mix your persona. So you should take extensive notes. And by extensive, I really mean take extensive notes, because it happens a lot of time that you mix personas. Because if you're doing this from like long time, then you tend to mix personas. So take extensive notes. Another thing to keep in mind is, suppose you are accessing a Russian forum and you are in USA. So you would want to change time zone to Russia, just for that added layer of peace of mind, so that the actors don't think that you are not a Russian, or I mean, you may be Russian and living in USA, but just for that added layer of added peace of mind layer. And again, on the similar note, you would need to learn new language skills or slang skills. So for example, if you are on a Russian forum, that you would likely need to learn Russian language, or if you're on a German forum, then you would need to learn German language. So that was it. We talked about what dark web is, how to access dark web, different forums and marketplaces, how you can hunt on the dark web. We talked about Scrapy, human intelligence. I talked about one thing of how you can automate this whole hunting architecture or hunting on the dark web. And we talked about operation security. If you liked one thing from this talk, then I would highly suggest to go back to your organization and follow these steps, like figure out your assets, start your hunting pipeline, try to store data into the ELK, and try searching your company's name or organization's name or different products that you do or you provide in Kibana. And then if found, then try to go more into that detail and analyze the results, like which forum talked about this, which particular actor talked about this, and obviously report it to your team. Obviously, dark web hunting is hard, but it's worth the effort. If you don't have any dark web hunting team, then I would highly suggest to make it and try doing it step by step. Always keep OpSec in mind. The last thing we want is to disclose your information or your company's information on the dark web. Again, always look on more than one resource. Don't just focus on one forum. There are several forums on the dark web. Also on clear web, nowadays actors are talking on Telegram. So focus on Telegram also, and Reddit and Twitter, etc. And have a team do this. Don't do these things alone. It will take a lot of time, but having a team is a good thing. These are some of the resources that you can look into if you want to know more about dark web hunting, or how you can monitor dark web. And with that, I thank you. I hope you all like my presentation. If you have any questions, you can ask me in Slack, or you can hit me up later on Twitter or LinkedIn.